You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Good morning and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are live here in the studio and you can catch us on 105.5 FM, which is our terrestrial signal, but you can also listen to BaaD Radio on several different streaming platforms, including FloridaManRadio.com, the Florida Man Radio app, as well as the iHeartRadio app. And we are now a 2-hour show. This is our second one, so we are here from 10 to noon. I am your host, Angela Smarito, and in studio with me, we have DJ Heather, the producer.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. And up next, we have Melissa Jacob with Striking Brand, our co-host and videographer.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so if you go to baadradio.com under episodes, you can see all of BaaD Radio's videos from last year. Striking Brand has been producing our weekly YouTube videos, and they are just fantastic.
Thank you.
And you can also see all of Melissa's other work on her website, which is strikingbrand.com. Please join me in welcoming Terri Mandigo with Live Your Best Life back to the show. Hi, Terri.
Hello. Good morning.
And just real quick, tell us what Live Your Best Life is.
Quick.
Live Your Best Life is my brand that I did to help people actually live their best life through holistic means. It started with the CBD, and now it's just morphed into a lot more.
Perfect. And next to her, please welcome back Karen Kelly with Sejun Institute for Regenerative and Restorative Medicine.
We just call it Sejun.
Sejun.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome back. The number to call or text in is 321-339-1055. That's 321-339-1055. And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Frogger's Bar and Grill. Hop in with food and fun. If you're looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones, you have to go to Frogger's. They have 4 locations, tons of TVs, and the best food you can imagine. And they really do. For like a sports bar, everything is fresh. It's never frozen. Their wings are to die for.
Amazing.
Their
I can't
salads
agree with that.
are so. I mean, like you said, I've never gotten a bad meal there. But they have locations in Mount Dora, Oviedo, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. And also a huge thank you to Liberty Property Inspections. As you can find them at libertypropertyinspections.net, helping you protect your investment. Alrighty, so all that is over. I felt like I kind of blew through that.
Just a little.
Does it sound like I'm reading?
You're just so
I
used
don't
to
think
doing
so.
it. It's like fluid, you know?
You sound like a pro at it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I was
You know?
going to say, it didn't sound like you were reading from a text.
Because
Yeah.
I read half and I do it half, and from like knowing how to
Memory.
do it. So, but I always wonder that. All right. So anyway, we're going to talk about business stuff, and right now we're going to talk about what we're calling our networking news. And I'm going to hand that over to Melissa right now.
Okay, so we're going to start talking about Google reviews and just how those help businesses in general. So I know personally, my personal story is that I started my business about 2 years ago, and that has been one of the biggest things that has made such an impact is it's not so much what I say about my business, it's what other people see about sorry, I'm hearing music in the background. Okay, it was my news music.
Oh, is that news music? I like it.
It sounds very official. But I just, I've noticed that I've gotten a lot of referrals just from that. I'll ask, where did you hear about me? And it's from Google, just people Googling what's close
But you know what
by.
I want to do before we jump into that is I want to say that the networking news is brought to you by Live Your Best Life. I'm going to go ahead and read it. So
Yeah.
Live Your Best Life is an independent advocate for Green Compass USDA certified organic hemp products. They offer a complete range of products including hemp wellness, targeted health, personal care, performance, even products for our little furry friends. And to get more information on these products or becoming a consultant, you can call Terri, who is here with us today, at 407-616-3145. All right, now we're back to Google reviews.
Sorry, sidebar. I didn't get that.
Did I not send that
No,
to you?
I don't have it.
Oh, all right.
I don't have it, but it's okay. But yeah, I mean, do you have something similar? Do you find the same thing?
I know Sejun's going to deal with Google reviews.
Yeah, I don't really look at them often, but they do. They can hurt or help. It just depends on what's going on in your business, I suppose. But yeah, for the most part, they're testimonials from someone that you've impacted in their life, and they're sharing how you've benefited them. So they're huge, as long as they're good.
Yeah, right. Well, they can go either way.
They can go either way. I mean, mostly, I don't know. I don't even look at them, because I think it just gets my mind going.
Do you guys look at them when you are thinking about using a business?
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I do. I'll either it depends on what kind of business it is, but I'll either look at the reviews, probably both the reviews and the pictures, so I can see, get a feel for the place and the
I
business.
look at the number of stars. Is
Yeah.
that what,
I
what
look
do you
at the
do?
number of stars. Definitely.
Well, specifically, like if you're looking for hotels or whatever, or restaurants, yes, the number of stars. And
I look
then-
for stars and then check out why people only gave them
That's
one
what-
star.
That's exactly
yes,
how to do it.
Same.
Yes, exactly.
What was the problem? Was it a big deal or was it?
Because you can tell when it's somebody who's just having a bad day, who just wants to
Right.
rant, and you're like, okay, that doesn't really.
Right.
So, if you have that person that's just bent for whatever reason, and they go in there and they trash you with a bad Google review, can you do anything about it?
You mean trying to get it removed,
Yeah.
or talking to the person? Oh, I don't know if you can.
You
Get
can.
It
I think you
removed.
can
You
get
can
it
report
removed.
it.
You report it as something like
Offensive.
false or offensive
Right.
or whatever. But you can actually call the person and find out, why did they have that experience,
Right.
and they can amend it. So
Oh, they can. You can.
Yes.
You
the,
can revise
the
it.
person that actually wrote it can amend it if. I guess it almost depends on what business you're in too. So sometimes, for me, I'm in healthcare. So if somebody comes in and they want a certain diagnosis and it's just not going to happen,
Right.
then they're going to leave and sometimes not be happy with, sorry, you really don't
Right.
need an antibiotic for this,
And they're going to be like, I'm mad. I wanted that.
Yeah, or I'm a nurse practitioner and she wasn't even a doctor, well, they're just upset. They're not feeling good. So we do reach out to people like that sometimes and just find out how and what we can do to make their experience a little better. Sometimes it's not like I get tons of bad Google reviews. It sounds like I'm, it's like happened once
you don't
or twice.
Promote, do you, I know a lot of businesses, they'll go in if your service, if our service was good, you leave a Google review. So do you promote that or no?
I don't, actually. I don't.
Which,
but,
it's
I'm not.
healthcare, so maybe,
It's
being in the
healthcare,
healthcare
yeah.
industry, I think Google
I
reviews are a
probably
little bit
should.
different.
There's things on my list to do, like things to do list, or things to get better at. And I would say social media, all that I need to get a little better at. So the computer world is just so not me. In fact, I wish I could live without computers, but we can't. So, I just
Hire
take those
somebody.
things with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Heather?
I was going to say, when you do have a negative review, sometimes the company will come back with a really quick-witted but smart and kind reply, and that always gets me. I'm like, I want to be that person who can come back with sounding really nice, but explaining to them why they're wrong.
Right. Yeah. I've met people like that before where it's like they have the nicest way of giving you bad news. It's Brian Hastings with Four Seasons. He's one of those guys that he says he has actually fired people and they are shaking his hand saying, thank you so much. And I was
It's a good communicator.
That's
then.
hysterical.
I'm like,
Lynn Shackelford was the same way.
Yeah.
He could give you bad news. You're like, thank you so much.
I see. I look at the reviews, but what I need to get into a habit of is actually making it a habit to go in there and give reviews because I'm in business. I don't really like to give negative reviews because I know, like you said, maybe somebody was having a bad day or I was having a bad day and I'm grumpy. And
What if you write, I'm having a bad day, but, and then explain why it made it even worse?
Well, you remember that nail experience that I had
yeah.
last week? I didn't want to give the place a bad review because I like them. I like the family. They're family owned. If I could give the one person a bad review, I would do that.
Right.
So does Google, they don't allow you to go in and individualize? It's only specific?
What do you mean?
To
to the brand, not the individuals.
Correct, like with Angela. So instead of just giving the bad view to the company as a whole.
No, it would go to the whole company because that's what the Google business is probably is probably registered as. She could put a person's name specifically, but that's still people aren't going to read. Not a lot of people read everything, and then that star rating affects the whole business in general. Yeah.
Plus, maybe the person who got the 1-star review was just having a bad day herself, and now you've just ruined her career.
Oh.
I actually have a buddy that looks for the bad reviews, and then he goes to that specific place just to like see how
To confirm.
Really? Right? And he's like, and they're like, yeah, it's a neighbor of mine. He's hysterical. So yeah, he'll go through the Google reviews at restaurants in particular,
right?
And if somebody's just really bashing it, he will literally go
I
to the restaurant.
Find a roach in my soup.
Right. And then like respond, to say
review.
it really wasn't that bad,
Right.
So it's kind of.
He can make that into a business.
I know, right? I was like, that's genius.
So what are some of the reviews that people, like I said, but good reviews can make or break you as well, right?
Good reviews? Yeah. I mean, that's what I've gotten a lot of jobs just from that. Yeah. So
They can't break you though, can they?
Absolutely.
Good.
I guess
it depends on what you're doing. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. I work at another clinic, just kind of an urgent care out by Disney. So we get a lot of people in there they're not even from here. They're from out of town. And this, I do recall I had a bad Google review, but anybody that knows me knows that I'm natural. I'm all about natural, holistic, health. So I'm going to recommend supplements before antibiotics or any kind of medicine. Well, this particular person didn't like that, but they didn't need anything else, so they left a horrible Google review.
But I'm saying a positive review can't break
No,
it.
no, I
a
meant
positive.
like
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. And that's why I take it with a grain of salt, because this person had no basis for their, opinion.
Plus they were having a bad day.
They were having a bad day, and then they didn't like the fact that that it was just a whole thing. But
they thought
and
that they
was the
knew
only
more
one.
than what you did. They thought that
They did, but they were there for a certain service. They absolutely got it. And on top of that, I recommended, hey, some vitamin D and maybe some omega and probiotics. Like, it was just a health, like, wellness. And they wanted all this red carpet, where that's not what healthcare is. We try to make it about the patient. And of course I was kind, but you just get in these situations where I'm a Google review, and this is a private family owned clinic that they can't handle a bad Google review or too many of those.
Right.
Like, it really will shut them down. They have more good than bad, thankfully. But it was somebody having a bad day, and they didn't get what they felt they wanted, and
that's like, I think that goes back to Heather's point, is to actually read what they wrote.
Yeah.
Because like I said, sometimes you can read it and be like, yeah, that person's
Then you call all your friends to bury it. Hey guys, I need 15 5-star reviews right now. See, it's all like it's
Is that
like
how it works?
That's truly how it works. Like, if you get you ask for good reviews, and then it boosts your business. So there's that positive. Then if you get a negative, you just call everybody and say, hey, let's bury it.
Can
and
any business can like somebody go and give Bad Radio a Google review?
Anybody can leave a review for any reason whatsoever. They may not even come to you, and they can leave a bad review, like a disgruntled employee.
Huh?
Do we have a Google Your Business? Bad Radio?
Yeah, you have to be registered as a Google business account.
Oh.
I have a Gmail, if that, and I
don't think so. So we're good, but we need to set one up. What's that one?
Yeah. Well, I meant Business at a Distance is an LLC. I meant, we have 1 minute left, but yeah. So, but I meant Bad Radio isn't set up. This is my business. This is like Bad Radio is a section of Business at a Distance. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
We'd have to
get you set up, and I'll leave you a good review.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
5 stars all
That's
the way
what I
around.
do. Is after a job, I will send out an email and just put the link, because people don't want to search and do all that work. But that always helps.
Right. Well, that's why I wouldn't leave a Google review, is because it was like, okay, sign in here, do this, go through this hoop, do this, and by that time I'm like, I just wanted to like hit 5 stars and be
Give
done
them
with
the
it.
direct link.
Yeah. So lots of times that deterred me. Is it easier now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
A lot easier.
That's okay. But there's Google reviews. Is there any other type of reviews? Actually, I know we have to go to break, but we can pick that up. Just wondering, besides Google reviews, if there's like some other.
Just
like
what
a
people
Yelp or
usually
something?
search is like Yelp. I always think of, what do I search? I search Google, I search Yelp. Those are the two.
Is that the Yellow Pages? Yelp?
Yelp? No, it's an app. It's online. You just search Yelp. It has a bunch of different businesses.
Well, isn't it crazy? Because you know what? It's a very good topic, especially for business owners. But we are going to break, and when we get back, we're going to jump in a little bit more with Terri. So definitely stay tuned.
Florida Man Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And I'm going to second that. Welcome back to BaaD Radio. The number to call if you want to join in the conversation is 321-339-1055. And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore. Cut out the middleman and go straight to the source. Premier Couple Superstore has everything from sexy bedroom outfits, toys, games, love oils, and everything in between. Premier Couple Superstore, because couples that play together stay together. I also want to thank Angela Keen's Hair and Makeup. All right, so we're going to jump in with Terri right now. So on the break, this is what happens all the time is people start talking about their business on break. I'm like, oh, hold that, because we're going to do that on the air. So first, let's start a little bit about your background.
So my background, I am a registered nurse by trade. I have worked in the emergency room orthopedic trauma unit.
Always in this market?
Always in this market in Orlando. I was born and raised and trained up in Boston, but right after I graduated, I moved down here.
Okay.
So, yes.
What are you guys trying to do here?
Sorry. What are we trying to do?
Okay. Okay, so pick up again. So you were a nurse, so in the ER, and then where else?
Orthopedic unit, trauma. It's ortho trauma ER. So
Okay.
We get, when somebody gets in a bad car accident, the helicopter goes out and they would bring him into the floor.
Oh, that's traumatic.
Yes.
Okay.
And so you've done that. You did that for how many years?
A lot of years. Let's just put it that way.
We don't need to get into it.
And so tell me, since after that, so from there, then where did Terri go from there?
So from there, I've always had my hand in, my love is patient care, but when you have little ones and you come home, I don't want to gory details, but you come home not pristine, and your little daughter says, ooh, yucky, mommy, go away, so you have to stop doing that full time. So I got into the workers' compensation insurance market as a medical professional. So that's what I've been doing since probably the last 35 years full time, while still going into my local trauma hospital on the weekends and working. So the workers' compensation industry, I don't know if you know it, but if you get hurt, you're entitled to medical care. So with my venue, what we do is I oversee all of the medical within the insurance company, which means, injured workers medical treatment, getting doctors on board, getting, physical therapists, our pharmacy benefit manager, our bill review, because obviously you have to pay the bills that come in, so you want to make sure the bills are correct. So that's what I'm doing with that.
And how did it bring you to? I want to hear how you got involved with Green Compass.
Very interesting story. So, being a nurse, we all have to have continuing education units. So, I was in a facility getting my continuing education units, and it was all about alternative medicine. Part of that was talking about CBD.
Wait. So this was part of your education?
This is part of my continuing education.
And
yes.
they brought this up as a. That's interesting.
Yes, it wasn't a lot, but they were talking about CBD. It was just as the Farm Bill of 2018 went into effect. So this was early 2019. So everybody was like, what's CBD? Is it marijuana? Does it get you high? So, of course, health professionals were trying to get some education on it.
Right.
So while I was there getting my education, my cousin had texted me and said her husband has multiple sclerosis and asked, do you know anything about CBD? His neurologist suggested he try it. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is, I need to learn more about this.
Okay, this is kind of like really blowing my mind right now. And I'm going to tell you why, but keep going.
So with that, I left the CEU and went home and started Googling, Google tells us everything. And started, Googling CBD. What is this? What is that? In my mind, as a nurse, I'm still back here thinking CBD is marijuana because it comes from the plant. It's going to get you high. Why would any doctor suggest, somebody take this to get you high? Still back there. Uneducated. So I'm Googling and I'm finding out all of this cool stuff. And this is going on, I would say, probably a good 30 days, just research. Because if you know me, I love research. I'm analytical. I will research
thorough
to the world. At one point, I had a boss that told me I was paralyzed because I would research too much.
I say that to my daughter sometimes.
Yeah.
She'll talk herself out of just about everything.
Yeah. It's not a good habit to have, just to say. I'm trying to break it.
There's worse ones.
There is true. That is true. Yes, there's much worse ones, for sure. But as I'm still researching that, a good friend of mine called me and said, hey, I just got involved with this company. I know you're all about holistic. You don't like people taking pills and opioids and all that, and that's a whole nother story. We can go down why I don't like that.
Yeah.
But you need to research this company. So she told me all about it, and it was Green Compass. So I'm researching it. I'm looking at the story. Again, doing Google reviews. Have you heard of this? And again, remember, they're brand new. Green Compass started in February of 2019. So I'm still probably, this is like March or April I'm researching.
Oh, wow, brand new.
Correct. So then, I called some more people. Let me just explain. The people I called were like government officials, our state of Florida government agricultural commissioner. Okay. I called the FDA trying to find out what is this?
You were
what
not
is
kidding
CBD?
about research.
I am telling you.
She's going to the top.
Yes. I because if I'm going, if I'm going to ingest something or recommend it, I want to make sure it's pure. So the long story short is I was advised that, yes, CBD can have medicinal purposes. We do need to do a lot more research back then. We've come a long way since 2019. But if you're going to get involved, make sure the hemp is grown in the United States on a farm that is organic. If you don't know, hemp is like a cleaner. They used it when Chernobyl was destroyed, when the Chernobyl, to clean the air, to clean the soil.
How, just from growing it there?
From growing it, because it will take in all the toxins. So if
that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yes. So if you're not growing the hemp in a organic environment, you're going to get all those toxins, especially if they don't, process it, to filter out anything that's in there. So there was 3 companies that were recommended to me. Green Compass was one of them, and I chose to go with Green Compass because they were in North Carolina, and they're what we call vertically integrated. They do everything. They develop the seed. They plant the seed. They cultivate it. They go out there. The farmers actually hand pick bugs off the leaves. They don't use any pesticides or anything.
Wow.
They have their own research and development lab with the scientists, researchers, I don't know what you call those people, that come up and develop products for us. Then they make those products, they make the packaging, and they deliver it right to you. So it's all controlled. And Sterling Cook, who is our CEO, his one quote that I always remember him saying is, if you cannot control the quality, then what's the use of doing it? So his whole thing is, I want to control the quality, and the only way to do that is to have my hand in every step of this process.
Yeah,
that makes
to
sense.
have it in-house. All right, so this is why this blows me away, because my experience with what everybody labels as Western medicine is that if I say something about CBD or something like that, like I went to my doctor and I got my blood work done and I mentioned something CBD and it was shrugged off. It was, well, that's not really proven, or, you know what I mean? It was not supported by that. And from, like I said, I got referred to a rheumatoid arthritis as opposed to, well, why don't you try some more natural alternatives?
They discouraged it like right away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like and that's why I'm surprised that they actually had education
Okay.
On it. But were they talking positive about it as an alternative, or was it just information?
It was. So when you go to the CEUs or contact our education, it's purely factual. So they're not going to give opinion one way or the other. They will. So they took us through what CBD is, where it comes from, what proposed benefits it could be. But they always put the caveat in there is, we need more science. We need more research. And we do. But remember, marijuana and hemp, before the Farm Bill, hemp was included in that marijuana part. I mean, it was illegal, so they weren't doing research. I mean, who's going to get money for grants to do research on something that's illegal? So a lot of our initial research came from overseas, came from the European countries, the Hollands, the Denmarks, those that, have an open attitude about, the marijuana cultivating.
I like how she says the marijuana.
The cultivating.
The cultivating aspect of
the weed, the ganja.
It is funny you say that, though, because in another networking atmosphere I'm in, they call me the weed nurse.
Oh, nice.
Funny.
That's
I was
catchy.
going to say, Angela, if you come to my clinic, I'll have you bathing in CBD. Drinking
the pot
it, rubbing it on your
practitioner.
temples, whatever we can do.
But think about it. It's I guess the medical community, and correct me if I'm wrong, is down the middle. You have those that want you to do it because it's, alternative, and then you have those more mainstream, for lack of a better word, that are like Angela's physician. No, we don't know enough about that. Exactly.
They're
Is it
not
that they don't know
open-minded
enough
to
about it?
understanding
Yes.
how beneficial it really
Yeah.
is.
Correct.
actually.
They just don't understand it.
Or is it that they can't make money off of it?
That's a good
Well,
question, too.
in my opinion, it's probably a combination of both.
Right.
And to give you a little bit of history on the marijuana, back in the day, well,
Well, CBD is not marijuana. I think
Correct.
people are really confused about that too.
Correct.
CBD
That's-
is a hemp plant, so
That's
you're
what
not.
I was going to ask if you
you're
could
not-
because there's still people who don't know the
correct.
difference. If you had like a brief, like the difference between CBD versus like THC and like when you're smoking weed, like what the difference is.
So marijuana and hemp plants are two distinct different plants. Think of them as cousins, okay? So the marijuana is high in THC content with a little bit of the cannabinoids, the CBDs and what the other cannabinoids. Whereas the hemp plant is low in THC. There is some THC in hemp, but very low, and much more prevalent with the CBD and the cannabinoids in that. So that's the difference. And I lump when I educate about hemp in the past, I lump it with marijuana because that's what United States did for many, many years. I mean, marijuana was legal way back, in the 1800s, the 1900s. I mean, it was mandated that farmers grow marijuana and hemp specifically. I mean, to help with clothing. You can make clothing, you can make paper. They made fuel. There was hemp fuel. They made roping for like the ships, the old-time ships and stuff. So it was mandated. And then come in with the Rockefeller era when, he was doing his petroleum and he in his pharmacy and stuff, and he couldn't make money because of the hemp. That's basically, and I mean, this is shorting it. I mean, there's a whole long short, but basically that's how marijuana with hemp
got lumped together
and made it illegal. So going back to what Heather was saying, is it because I can't make money off of it? My opinion is, that was the big primary focus. They're uneducated, but they cannot make the money.
They want to build insurance.
Right. Well, actually, we're coming up on a break. This is an incredibly interesting topic. So stay tuned, and we're going to pick it right back up when we get back from the break.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Back again, and if you want to get involved with the conversation, you can call or text in at 321-339-1055. And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Artistic Beauty and 33 Tanning Spa with locations in Altamont Springs and Longwood. So I was sitting there going, I'm like, there's so many different topics that I still want to talk about. So
I should interrupt and just say the reason why I am a real proponent of the CBD and Green Compass is because not only do I see how it's changing lives, But way back when I decided to join, I had migraines. I have migraines since I was 8 years old. Numerous 8 years old.
Wow.
Yes, and it's
Is it like genetic or something?
Yes, all my girls have it. My granddaughters have it now. So yes, it's just not nice.
Right.
But and I've been on medications, and if you know anything about migraine medications, the medications are not cool. I mean, I would take an Imitrex and I'd lose a day or two just because it makes you feel heavy. Just
Does it tear your stomach up?
It didn't tear my stomach up, but that is a side effect. It can. It just made me like I couldn't even move my arms up. You know,
It feels like a hangover.
Yes, a really bad hangover.
Oh,
yes. So when I got involved with Green Compass, I talked to my physician, and he said, "Yeah, you know, I'm hearing some things." He goes, "Try it. Let's try it for your migraines." So I did it. You know, I started taking it, and then it was a month. I went to refill my Imitrex, and I noticed that there was some pills still in the bottle. And if you know anything about migraines, generally you get 9 Imitrex pills, and I would go through those in the first 2 weeks. And I'm like, what the heck? Didn't think anything about it. You know, called in my prescription, went and picked it up. So the next 30 days comes, which is now 60 days, and I go to get my refill, and I've got the half a bottle, and I've got a full bottle. So I'm like, oh,
You're
my
just like, I'm not
word.
using them.
I'm like, I haven't had a migraine, which is totally not like me because I used to get 2 to 3 migraines a week.
Oh, that's like devastating.
So-
I mean, like that would when I get a headache, I can't function.
Oh, yeah, migraine, yeah. 2 to 3 times a week. I can't tell you how many birthday parties I've missed, how many softball games I've missed. You know, I think my daughter's first home run I missed because I was home. So, yeah, So I still didn't put 2 and 2 together. I followed up with my physician, and we're going over how are things going. You know, have you had any migraines? I'm like, no. And he goes, we talked about the CBD, you know, have you been taking it? I was like, as a matter of fact, yes, I've been taking my oil every day. And he goes, it's probably that. So I went the next 30 days still not having it. So yes, I'm convinced that the CBD oil has helped my migraines. And I will tell you, since May of 2019, knock on wood, where's the wood around here somewhere? I have not had a migraine.
That's
so
a
that is
beautiful
my
testimonial
believing.
for CBD. See, for me, the reason I was interested in CBD is because I'm super, super cautious about anything that's addictive. I don't want it in my life. And so, but lots of times when I'm dealing with like anxiety and things like that, the doctors are like, here, take citalopram or take Xanax or and all that stuff is like addictive. Citalopram, I know that, like you said, it's one of those pills that if you can't just stop taking it, you have to wean yourself off. And I'm like, that's so bad. Yeah. So that's what my interest was initially. But the things that it's helped me with is anxiety, sleep, and then also pain in my hands and my feet, which is, again, it was part of my, like, I'm using both of you two right now to help me combat menopause and I guess autoimmune. What is it?
Autoimmune.
Yeah. And I'm good. Like, my hands feel good. My feet feel good. And it's kind of a gradual thing. It's not like I just woke up one morning and I was like, oh, it's like you said, I almost didn't notice it.
Right.
CBD has really like
you're gonna have to talk up louder, girl.
CBD has really anti-inflammatory properties.
Correct.
So, and that's what I think a lot of people don't know. If you can't see inflammation, you don't think that it's there, but it's there if you feel it, you know? So even if your hands aren't swollen and they're painful, that's inflammation. So
for
if
me,
you use a systemic anti-inflammatory like a CBD product, you're hitting the whole endocannabinoid system. It's not, I think you can get what you have full spectrum, and then you have like
you have full spectrum, broad spectrum, which is without the THC. Full spectrum has up to 0.3 milligrams of THC, which is legal. Broad spectrum takes that THC out. You get all the other goodness of the hemp without the THC, and then you have the isolate, which is specifically only the CBD cannabinoid.
Actually, that leads me because I want to talk about the products. So yeah, I mean, I listed off a whole list of like categories. Let's talk about some of the specific products, like just real quick. Well, not real. I hate saying that. Not real quick. We have time.
Make it snappy.
Talk to me about some of the products and what they're used for.
Okay, so our bread and butter product obviously is our oils or tinctures. Okay, so tinctures can be used for, you know, just
What are you saying? Tinctures?
Tincture. It's more of like, it's not an oil. It's more of like a liquid, like in a dropper.
Yeah. Okay.
Tincture. Yeah,
tincture.
My Boston accent coming out here.
It's a magic potion.
I'm following you.
So again, it can be used for any anti-inflammatory. For your pain, you know, for my migraines, I take it. People take it to help with, you know, anxiety and mood altering.
I used it for my son for school too, for anxiety.
So those are that. So you have that, the tinctures. We also have what's called our nano jellies.
You talk about these all the time on Facebook.
My nano jellies, oh my word. I love our nano jellies. So the nano jellies is a specific technology that Green Compass and our research scientists, whatever they're called, I still don't know what to call them, developed. So our body is composed of water and our cells of water. So the tinctures are oil-based, and it's very, you know, oil and water really don't mix well. That's why you have to take the tinctures sublingual, where you have
Under
some
your
glands.
tongue? Okay.
You can also take it in your belly button too, but we won't
Really?
go there. Yes.
Kinky.
It's the most absorbent organ.
Yes, it's absorbent. So the nano jellies break down the molecules. And again, I'm not a scientist, so it's kind of hard for me to explain, but they break it down into a nano cell so it can easily access into the water cell. So your body absorbs much more of it than it would from the tinctures.
But it's still the same product.
It's still the same product. You just you would take
The delivery system.
is different. The delivery system is different, and it delivers actually more.
I want to get some of those.
So the jellies, like, you know, I'm very superstitious. So we're going through some family situations with my husband, and it was giving me some stress and anxiety. So, you know, the first thing my physician said is, well, you know, let's try to increase your dose. I'm like, nope. It's keeping my migraines away, and we're not going to play with it.
Yeah.
So he knew we had just come out with the nano jellies. He goes, well, just add that. So I did. I take my tincture, half a dropper in the morning, half a dropper a couple of hours before bed. And then I took the nano jelly, a half of a nano jelly, because you can cut them, in the afternoon. And we watched my blood pressure go down. I'm much more calm. You know, like when I go pick up my granddaughter and take her to practice, if I forget the nano jelly, I'm like a rage warrior on the road.
So a nano jelly is like a gummy.
So it is like a gummy, but we don't use the word gummy because it is just like a jelly. Remember the old time, I don't know how old you are, but the old time jelly candies? They're actually jelly candies.
Like jelly beans?
No, jelly candies.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
They came in like lemon and cherry. They were like half moons or whatever.
Not
Yeah,
She's drawing a complete blank. Her face is
I
like,
have no idea of such candy.
So I'll bring you some. Like what?
Fruit snacks.
Oh, like fruit snacks.
Yeah, similar to
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're that consistency. So they break down easy. You put them in. You can chew them. You can suck them if you want. I chew them. And they come in a limoncello flavor or a elderberry, elderberry blackberry, which gives you the added benefit of the immunity.
right.
Yes.
I use
so yes.
elderberry for that.
Yes.
Very cool.
So, but it's the
some
same
nano jellies.
product. It's in like
It's the same product, just in a different delivery
But I mean,
system.
can you get nano jellies in like the full spectrum and all that?
Nano jellies right now are only in the broad spectrum.
Okay.
But again, you deliver more. So yeah.
So let's talk about some of the other products like Sleep Boost.
So we have our non-CBD products called our terpene boost line, which is all terpenes. Terpenes are another part of the hemp plant. You have your cannabinoids and you have your terpenes. Terpenes also provide some medicinal benefits. Angela loves our Sleep Boost. We have Sleep Boost, Pain Boost, and Metabolism Boost, and Immune Boost. And
I want some of that metabolism boost too. Would that work good?
I'd like one of each, please.
Not a problem. I can give you a sample.
Okay.
So, and again, those are non-CBD. They're all, like I said, the terpenes. And obviously, Immune Boost is to help increase your immune. Sleep is to help increase, sleep. Your pain is for the pain.
Really?
They're very self, and the metabolism is
Right.
speed your metabolism.
Right.
So that you can take them on by themselves, or they're meant as an adjunct with your CBD. So that's a line, and I'm sure we're probably going to be developing that line as we go forward. We also have our topicals. My number one seller is my reduced pain cream. I'm going to tell you, and I don't know if I should say this on the radio, but I'm going to. It's like BioFreeze on crack. That's all I got to say. It has none of the preservatives or anything that BioFreeze has. It has the CBD in it, and then it has FDA. It has FDA registered ingredients for pain. We get that. The kids use it all the time on softball. That's where that's where they started calling me the weed nurse. It'd be, hey, Miss Mandigo, weed nurse, can you throw me the weed cream? So I'm like, oh, Lord. We have umpires, we have site directors, everybody is doing it. So it is, and a little bit goes a long way. I made the mistake of when I first tried it, thinking it was like BioFreeze. I had some pain in my neck, just slathering it on there, and it was like, oh my god. So
does it have that menthol in it? Like BioFreeze does?
Yes, it does have some menthol. And I'm drawing a blank right now on the 4 ingredients.
Can you overdose on CBD?
No.
Okay. See, that's huge. What she's about to say. We have 1 minute left.
And we learned that the hard way when the nano jellies came out. One of our leaders, she had a young son, and they are, like I said, they are tasty. And there's 30 jellies in a container, and he sat there and ate the container.
Oh, no.
And
he was fine.
He was fine.
He was fine. Little loopy there.
No, I mean, he was fine. Just sleepy, but fine.
Well, Terry's going to actually stay on with us because, like I said, I wish we still had even more time because it's a great topic.
Like a list of questions.
I know. So, all right. So we are going to go to a little bit of a longer break right now, but stay tuned because when we get back, we are going to talk with Karen Kelly.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back as we launch into our second hour of BaaD Radio. I'm going to run through all the regular info for those of us or those of you that just joined us. I am Angela, your host, and we've got DJ Heather, the producer.
All day.
Our co-pilot and videographer, Melissa Jacob.
Hello.
And her business is called Striking Brand, and you can watch all of last year's episodes on baadradio.com. And Melissa also has her own website, which is strikingbrand.com. And, well, not new to BaaD, but we are here with Karen Kelly now with Sejun Institute for Restorative and Regenerative. It never.
You know
mind.
what? I normally just say we pretty much shortened it to Sejun. Most people know it as Sejun. We are a regenerative, restorative, functional clinic.
It all makes sense.
But I don't even say all that, man. That's just too much.
Sejun it is.
You start losing people halfway through.
I know. They're like, what? Down. I was really trying hard to get it right.
Sejun.com. So you don't have to.
But the title explains what it is,
right.
And so, but we're going to talk about that. But this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Ground Up Property Services. Are your roots needing a touch-up? Well, not your hair, but what about your grass? At Ground Up Property Services, they can help make sure your grass roots are doing well underground. And they give your lawn that just stepped out of the salon look on top of the ground. They actually have, they're starting that process where it's almost like they spray your lawn so that it looks green. So like you don't have to have those brown spots and all, as they're getting your grass where it needs to be for the spring and summer, they can basically spray paint it. And it dries in an hour. And you've on what I'd like to do is do some before and hour, like the side by side. So when I introduce Ground Up, if we could do that on the video.
Definitely.
Rick Hall was at my birthday party last night, and I got to meet his wife, and he's just absolutely the best people you'll ever want to meet.
That makes such a big difference when you're working with people, is good people.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
But I meant for you as a photographer, how many times have you been like, oh, we can't, like, there's a big brown spot on the grass because of this.
Let me go and spray paint it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of homeowners association. Stop the fees. Stop the fines.
Yep. Photoshop all day.
Well, you would have to Photoshop. But it's just for curb appeal too.
Yeah, makes a huge difference.
But you can get hold of them at 407-468-4295. Also want to thank a new sponsor this year, which is Crazy Muscle Nutrition in Longwood, as well as Kazoo Creative, who manages our website. Before we do jump in with Karen Kelly, though, we want to talk a little bit. We were talking about last week about kind of doing a rants, raves, and review section. And so Melissa and I were talking about it prior to the show. And she has actually not a review, but it's
just
not a rant.
I guess a testimonial.
Rave.
A
rave.
the not rant. Yes. I actually had my home had an issue with it was flooding on the side of the house. It was real fun because we came back from the holiday and our neighbor was like, "Hey, while you guys have been gone, FYI, it's flooded between our two houses."
From the rain or just a broken something?
It had to be broken something because it wasn't raining at all while I was gone.
Oh, wow.
So we had to check that out. And my first thing that I did, I know we talked to someone from BNI last episode, but it's such a good resource. So there's a Facebook page with BNI people who are in Central Florida.
It's cross chapter referrals.
Yes. And it's so valuable. So I just personal issues would put up there and say, "Hey, this is what's going on at my house. Does anybody know somebody in BNI that because usually people know people personally. It's not just a one-time, service that they've had experience." So I got this recommendation and I'm blanking on their name, but I do the video. I do the video, so I will put their logo or name up there. But it's something really cute. It's something like Big Daddy Drain, something like that. But that was the recommendation, and he's in BNI. And that same day I called him. He came out same day and checked what the issue was. He got out there with a shovel.
Is it a plumbing company?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I think. And he dug up the area that he thought was where the source was, dug down to the pipes, figured out what it was. And he was like, "Okay, so this is the issue. I am going to go. I have to go do something else, but I have my crew and a couple other guys who are going to come back the same day." They came out the same day, and they were out there. It was like pitch black. I took pictures, so I'll put some pictures up here. It was pitch black. They were still out there working with their flashlights, trying to make sure that everything. So from the same day, I called just telling them the issue. He was out, the owner was out, checked everything out, and fixed everything the same day. And it was really reasonable. I was anticipating this is going to be a god-awful amount of money I'm about to pay. The underground broken pipe, it was not. It was super reasonable. I was like, I will recommend you to everyone.
Do you have your phone on here? Because I'll tell a quick story and you look up the name.
Yes.
So same situation happened for me is I stored... I put a bunch of stuff in storage, but the problem is I stacked it up in my attic, and the bottom crate collapsed, and it came down and it went through the ceiling, and it landed on Tom's car. So I had a huge hole in my ceiling in my garage, and it did not hurt Tom's car, thank God. But so I did the same thing. I got on Facebook. I went into the BNI's cross chapter referrals, and I took a picture, and I said, "Who can help me with this?" And then you get recommendations. And somebody recommended Hole in the Wall, which is a drywall company. And same situation where they gave me a quote, which was completely reasonable over the phone based off of the picture. They had somebody come out, super professional. And the thing is they totally what did they put the plastic all up and everything? It was, and
how cool!
It looks amazing now. And you know what? They're going to get our business from now on, and I'm going to recommend them from now on because it wasn't overpriced. They were able to get us in very quickly because we did. I mean, it wasn't our garage, but we did have a big hole. It was, it's called hole in the wall. Ours was a hole in the ceiling. But like you said, as far as networking goes, BNI is such an incredible resource for everything from photography to hole in the wall to insurance. I mean, there's just, it's endless. So did you find it?
Yes, I found it. The Drain Daddy.
What's that?
The Drain Daddy.
The Drain Daddy?
So are they plumbers or are they like irrigation? What are they under? I'm sorry.
I think they're this is what happened. This is how much I know about them. I said, this is my issue. Who can help? And then they were like, call these people. And I called them and they fixed it. But it sounds like plumbing.
But no, here's the thing is that because they're in BNI and the people recommended them, you don't have to know all that stuff.
Right.
You can just say,
that they are good.
Do you know how much that's worth? That's worth like
huge
500.
That
Really?
takes the stress level. I mean, you're already stressed out because you've got this water from somewhere. You're already thinking in your mind, oh my God, this is going to be an expense. So that takes one of the stresses away, knowing that you can bring somebody in and trust them, that they're already vetted out.
Right. And the person who referred them was like, everybody in our chapter loves them. And he wouldn't have said that, you know.
Yeah.
And so I know I have people like that in my chapter too, that you're like, oh, I would trust them with everything. So I didn't even Google search their reviews or anything. I was just like, I know they're good.
That is one of the benefits of being in that networking group, is because if somebody's a crap business or they're just there for, they don't last in BNI. It's not like it's, you have to invest in BNI, like with your time and your money and everything like that, to get it out. But I mean, if they're in there, that means that they're good. And I know that for me, people come to me all the time just because they know that I know people, and that's what it is. It's like somebody needed cabinets, I go in there and I get a recommendation. I don't have to worry about whether or not it's a good recommendation or not. I can feel confident. My sister comes to me all the time for, she's redoing our house. The one thing though is I haven't found a fencer, not like a sword fighter.
Somebody to build you a fence.
Yes.
So Angela's on the hunt.
Yeah. No, my sister. It was
sister.
Yes, but I meant like plumbers, drywall, flooring, you name it.
Car detailing.
Every trade imaginable.
Yes, I know we're talking about ground up, but I've been trying to get Rick Hall. And last night was I had my 50th birthday party, and Rick was there with like my whole all my BNI girls, and I was like, Rick,
trying to sell him on your birthday.
I was like, this is the BNI group, and I'm like, girls, go get him, go get him.
You've been trying to get him in for a bit.
BNI?
No. But he does a phenomenal job with irrigation systems. And the truth is that in BNI, that category is not saturated.
No.
He would kill it in there. If you're listening, Rick,
come join us.
Yeah, last night I was like wanting to drag him around and be like, he does irrigation system. Give your card. And I was like, okay, so I got to remember that's, because initially with my birthday, I'm like, Tom, let's do a BaaDiversary networking birthday. And he was looking at me. He goes, really? And
He's such a salesperson, networking person.
He's like, it's
in her
birthday.
But that's who you are. That's what you want to do.
Well, moving forward, I think that it would be really fun to be able to do like a raves where people can actually submit companies that have done really good job for them, and then they can get shouts out on the radio.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. So I think that would be a really fun feature. And I can post it. Like I can get the only thing that can be a little bit of a struggle is to get engagement, because not everybody's going to read that. So I think that what I'll probably have to do is do some Facebook Lives or something like that. Because like when we used to do the business tip, people like all of a sudden a ton of people would respond, and I'd get a bunch of them, and then the next week it was like crickets. So I guess it really all depends. But if you guys are out there listening, think about that. Think about if there's a company that you would like to give a shout out to, and then
warn people, or warn people against. You said rants and raves, right?
I don't know. Do you think that it would be okay to trash them?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I'm super hesitant to
that sounds
do
hard.
something. I'm nervous to even give somebody a bad review on Google.
That's where I was going when you were talking about the Google reviews. I'm like, I'll give a good review, But if it's a negative review, no, I don't even leave it
I'm
because
like that
it's
too.
It has to be real
I don't think I've ever
bad.
left a negative review.
Yeah, I don't. That's hard. So I'm thinking that maybe we could use this as like a warm fuzzy networking thing.
Okay.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, if there's businesses that you really want to give a shout out to, like you mentioned, the Big Daddy.
Yeah, we're Drain Daddy.
Drain
Drain Daddy.
Yeah. And I mentioned a hole in the wall, the drywall. But man, in BNI, there's so many. Like I could give Avi from Synovus Bank a huge shout out because we just did a home equity line of credit with them, and it was a fabulous experience because we had issues like as far as timing goes, and the best part about it is that they explained everything to me, because that's huge for me. Is like if I don't understand it, then I get frustrated.
Right.
And when I'm frustrated, I know I'm not the easiest person to
And if they
deal
can
with.
explain it like how you understand it too, and not just get frustrated with you, like you know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. So, and then I always like to give shouts out to John Kennedy with our networking group because he's our IT guy, and he's been amazing since day one.
Oh my Lord, you can just text him, call him with any question. Doesn't matter. He'll figure it out for you.
BNI group?
Yeah.
Angela and I are.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's our IT guy, but not only does he do that, like he can fix your stuff remotely. He came to my house when my son was having computer problems and got down on the floor with my kid and like took stuff apart and explained to him as he was like putting things back together. And I wish so much I would have taken a picture of it because I remember with Aiden's computer, I remember thinking to myself, gosh, I just wish we had a problem. I could have somebody to call that could know what to do or what to say or how to fix this. And that's John.
Yeah, John is awesome. I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, so that's John Kennedy with Forge IT Consulting. I'll put his number, like I said, when I post this later today, I'll tag him on that as well. So if you do need an IT guy, then he's your guy. But I mean, like I said, I think that there's so many that we could talk about. So I'll have to.
So maybe
save 'em.
instead of rants,
I won't say
what
rants.
did you say?
Raves.
Rants. What did you say?
Raves?
Rants, raves, and reviews. Maybe it should be raves and reviews.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the rant out. So raves and reviews. I like it. I like it. And then, like I said, we'll have to give people a heads up so they'll tune in to have a listen.
Yeah.
So are we good to go to break? Are we good? All right, cool. All right. Well, thanks for that. That was a fun conversation. Stay tuned. When we get back, we're gonna talk to Karen Kelly with Sejun.
Florida Man Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio. And just a reminder, you can call or text in at any time to 321-339-1055. And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Impact Electric of Orlando, who focuses on residential and commercial electrical work. When talking about quality of work, Impact Electric is one of the best. We use Impact Electric for all of our electrical needs, and I would recommend them to anyone. The number is 407-747-0874. I also want to thank Andrews Law PA. If you're in an auto accident, you have to call Jen Andrews. You can find her, or you can actually go to andrewslawpa.com. All right, so we're going to talk with Karen Kelly with Sejun. But first and foremost, introduce yourself and your title and who you are.
So my name's Karen Kelly, and I am with Sejun Regenerative and Restorative Medicine. So we're
slow.
Well, I can't even see it, so that's why I'm like Sejun. Most people know us as primarily as a hormone clinic. So we do specialize in bioidentical hormone replacement, but then we have so many other things that we do and focus on, and that's a holistic approach to healthcare. So we try to reverse and prevent chronic diseases using natural supplements. Sometimes it's lifestyle. We have to have a whole conversation about that. Gut health is number one. So we, depending on where that person is in their health journey.
Well, you, let's tell me about you.
Oh, me. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so I actually started off like Terri did in the ER. I did ER for almost 10 years before I went back to school and
That's why we can communicate real well.
Yeah, we're like talking nurse over here.
I'm
in
like,
the
okay,
trenches.
ladies, we're going back on. We're getting back on. We're getting back on. And I love it. No, I love it when guests connect.
Well, it's cool because both of us are Western trained.
Yep.
So I graduated from a traditional, college, University of Memphis is where I got my undergrad. But anyway, we both kind of grew up in that Western world. But I think for me, why I took a more holistic approach is even when I'm in the emergency room and people are just coming in and kind of using us as their primary care.
Correct.
Their blood pressure, their blood sugar's out of control. I spent a lot of time when I had the time to educate them on, if you just quit eating this certain food, like your blood sugar will drop tremendously, and you won't have to come here every week. We're on like a first name basis, and this is the ER.
I like the ones that come in, their blood pressure is high, but they have the McDonald's big.
And they got their, all that. But I found in that time, like I really, really, really love educating people and helping them do things on their own, like empowering them to do the work rather than, have a prescription. Here's your prescription for this. There's my big thing is there's not a pill for every ill. There's just not. And a lot of times, I guess it's probably where the love of natural medicine came from, was being able to help them with simple things like drinking water. People don't drink enough water.
I know. Between diet and sleep, like that's
sleep that's a whole other thing. So you have to get sleep to get that restorative quality so that your cells regenerate. As Terri was saying, the cells are with water, and if you don't have enough water, which is 100 to 120 ounces, that's what we say at Sejun. Most people are like, wow, that's a lot of water. They think they're doing good at 64. I'm like, well, double that. I need you to double down.
You're halfway there.
The best time to start drinking your water is the minute you wake up.
Yeah. Know what we could talk about too is like my whole situation. Because would you consider my situation kind of like a stereotypical how?
Yes. Okay. So... And that's where the hormone, if you don't mind me talking about
that. I'm an open book.
Yeah. So, everything kind of works together. The body is a system of gears. But once you reach a certain age, and men and women, so women go through menopause, men go through andropause. So basically, they're losing
what do they go through?
I know.
Well, some people call it menopause, and they get just as grumpy and moody.
Really?
Yes. They have, low T is a big thing. And people don't think it's a treatable problem, but when you restore someone's hormones, they love you.
Yeah.
I know I'm not ever stopping mine.
Yeah.
Period.
Well,
and I want everybody to feel that good. Live your best life, right?
I want
exactly.
So this is how it worked, and this is how I came to seek her help. Is that I started to gain weight, and I was still eating well. I was still doing. You know what I mean? Because I live a healthy lifestyle. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke cigarettes. I sleep. I take care of myself. But I was getting close to 50, so I went and got my blood work done with my doctor, and he was like, "Okay, Angela, you're in menopause." And I was like, "Okay, well, what about my estrogen?" He's like, "Yeah, you don't really have any." I was like, "Well, what can I do?" And he was like, he's like, "This is just a part of life, girl."
And that's
it's not. Think about it this way: when you have the maximum amount of hormones in your system, you're in your early 20s. You don't see all these cancers in the early 20s. I mean, is it possible? Yes, but women are getting breast cancer and different types of cancers as it relates to hormones later in life, and that's a result of not having these hormones on board. So estrogen and progesterone and bioidentical, just for anybody that doesn't know, bioidentical is a plant-based and recognized by the body as something that it's available to, right? And it doesn't create inflammation versus some of the commercially available progesterones actually, they're from a horse urine, So
I asked the doctor about hormone replacement, and he was like, "No." He goes, "It's dangerous. You shouldn't do it." He told me, like I said, that aging is not a disease, so I kind of have to just deal with it. And
aging isn't a disease, but that's like my favorite thing. That's what most people say, and that's because they just don't know enough about it.
That was going to be my question. If
we are not trained in our Western world to like anything about hormones.
He didn't know
really.
anything about peptides. Like I mentioned epamorelin to him, and he Googled it.
Oh no! Okay,
so that's the problem.
Good.
They don't know, and honestly, I kind of feel like
and they're not taught in school.
They're not taught in school.
So it sounds really similar to the CBD thing.
Exactly.
It's just learning.
Before I did. Before I got into the holistic thing, I worked at an OBGYN office, and I did, hormone pellet therapy. I would insert the pellets, and I, actually tried to get women off their you have 50-year-olds on birth control and they're just doing it for the estrogen component, but that's not bioidentical, so I try to get them off of it and try to push them towards a more natural. But that's where I think it intrigues me about the hormones, because a lot of OBGYNs are saying, get off your hormones. They're bad for you.
Right.
These are
really?
Yes. Not, yeah. I mean, and it's kind of a toss up between the ones that have gone out there and done the research and educated themselves, versus the ones that just don't.
And that just amazes me, because hormones, we all have our hormones. So
what do you think? What do you think osteoporosis comes from? Osteoporosis is when you get older and your bones get weak, and then they do a bone densitometry and you start losing bone density. That's because you don't have any estrogen and progesterone. To create bone cells, you have to have a certain level of estrogen and progesterone.
And what are some of the other things? Like if your hormones are out of balance, so many different things.
Well, muscle ache, fatigue,
headache,
stress,
joint pain. A lot of things occur in the gut. So 50 to 90% of the neurotransmitters, our immune system, is within the gut.
Right.
And that's kind of what I was talking to Angela about, is that's the number one place, even for hormones. So testosterone can have huge shifts. And actually, women don't even know how good testosterone is, for them. So
Yep.
So what I did, though, is I took my blood work and I sent it to Karen, and she scheduled an appointment. And so I went and saw her, and we sat down for an hour, and she went through my blood work with me, and she explained.
And it's not just regular blood work. Like you had pretty extensive hormones, precursors to hormones, nutrients.
My doctor told me I was within range on just about everything. They did identify that I had something going on, which was like an autoimmune disorder, and so he, instead of talking to me about it, he just sent me a referral to a rheumatoid arthritis doctor. So, but I mean, he never didn't explain to me why he was.
And all they're going to do is put you on probably a long-term steroid.
Yeah.
Well, we use something in our world called low-dose naltrexone. Don't know that I'm there with you yet, but that's how we treat autoimmune disorders.
Right. So go to Karen. She's done the blood work.
We do thyroid. We do autoimmune.
And I brought all my stuff that I'm on, like what I have as far as like everything from, if I have something to help me sleep to, I brought her the CBD.
I was going to say.
Brought her everything so that she was like, no,
right.
yeah, no. You know what I mean? And some of them, like digestive enzymes, things I was taking, she was like, great. But she explained everything to me.
And how that's really important so you can see how everything's working together.
Well,
you're so smart.
Exactly. Like a system of gears. And
Right.
a lot of times people kind of, if you picture a big wall of gears, and I say it's inflammation. So one gear gets going and it just makes everything else go. So we kind of have to shut them off and find the source of it. And usually the gut is a really good place to start. If you don't have a good gut bacteria microbiome, because that's where even your feel-good endorphins come from, healthy gut bacteria. So serotonin, for one, and dopamine, it all comes from the gut. So if you're leaking things out of your gut because you're eating but in your case, you really weren't. But that kind of gives rise
too
to
much sugar. I was eating way too much sugar.
That's one of the offensive things.
I will second that, because we'd be on a call and she's like, I'm having a chocolate, a piece of chocolate. I'm like, Angela,
I want to take everything away. But I usually remove dairy. That's absolutely horrible for you. So I try to just at least be diligent about, no dairy, no sugar, no gluten.
Yeah.
Even if you're not sensitive to gluten, you will at some point be sensitive to gluten, so it destroys your gut, and then we start with a good gut protocol. That's probably our most popular one, because we can't do anything without it. If I need you to be on magnesium, I think, if I remember correctly, we had I have her labs here in front of me, but we had to do some minerals. Minerals are a requirement, so like your vitamin D, your magnesium, things of that nature, in order to create these hormones. So if you don't have the building blocks, then you're struggling.
I had magnesium, but I wasn't taking enough of it. I was like taking one, and you're like, no, you need to take 4 of those a night, girl. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
We optimize. So a lot of our doses are a lot higher than what your standard. We have therapy, prescription grade supplements that we prescribe versus medications that you would get from the pharmacy.
Well, what about so you mentioned the pellet? Excuse me.
The hormone pellet.
So I did.
What is that? And
It's they're also, depending on who you get them from, but most of the pellets are bioidentical. So they're estrogen and testosterone pellets.
That's good to know. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
People say they
I
insert
do
them.
not
Does it like
do
go
pellets
underneath
anymore.
your skin?
Yeah, we put them in your hip.
Does it make like a scar?
Not really. I mean, I got a couple rounds of pellets before, you know, and they were just testosterone, and they were, let's just say I had absolutely everything on my to-do list by 11 and was fishing by 12. And I mean, like, went through the closet. Like, it just gave you this amazing amount of energy because and that was kind of what I was getting at. I don't really use those anymore because if you over pellet someone initially, they're going to have this, like, Hulk-like reaction, especially women. I was like, yes, you know. I mean, I just felt like I was on fire. But then the down slope of that, like when you're getting to 3 to 4 months, maybe even 6, depending on your lifestyle.
Did you get like muscles and stuff? Were you like bulking up?
I mean, yeah, I was pretty strong at that time. I felt strong anyway.
Yeah.
It's all about how you know,
She was like, I was
yourself.
ripped.
I mean, but I was also very like aggressive at the time. So we try to find a nice balance.
But don't they like, aren't they supposed to slowly?
Yes. So they're
release?
based on your cardiac output. So if you're a really active person, then they're gonna be.
It can just.
They're gonna go away a little faster
Okay.
than someone that is more, you know,
Sedentary. Then they'll
sedentary.
stay longer.
Right.
Okay.
Men require so many more pellets than a female, but I've kind of moved away from pellets. I really like creams now.
Yes.
I'll do pellets if somebody's been on them for a long time. So, and you know, not everybody feels this way, but if somebody wants pellets, I'm like, let's do some creams first. Let's get your levels where I can monitor them, that we build you up slowly, and then we'll go from there.
It's just because it's harder to adjust. Is that why?
Well,
prefer
you
the-
can't take the pellets out.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
somebody might go in there and dig them out, but
Oh gosh, the way you said that.
I've never heard of
Like,
somebody
no,
doing that,
thank
but
you.
probably they would, you know. But
Yeah.
creams, you wash them off. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then in a couple days, it's out of your system. So if like, for example, that day that I was like, wow, I don't even know what's wrong with me, but I am like on fire.
Right.
I'm like, that got to be the pellets. And It was
Right.
the very first time that I got them. You know, you couldn't take them out. So
Right.
people get palpitations. They're not happy with you if you over.
Maybe that's what the doctor was talking about. It could be dangerous. Like he was just like steered away from it.
It's not like he
It's
just didn't know
not
what he was talking about.
dangerous.
Yeah.
You just, you know, it's so
It's,
funny
again,
because we
it's
pelleted the whole
natural.
office at the same time. So all of us were like, yes, ready to work. And we're all female, right? So we all practiced on each other. Like I pelleted one doctor, she pelleted me. But then about 4 months later, everybody's like, so slow. Like we're all like, oh my God. And like, you know, it was just way high and then way low. And
So with
they're
your
good for some
creams,
people.
then, do you sustain it? Do you put it
Yes.
on?
You put it on every day or 2-3 times a day. It just depends on what your blood work shows and where you want to be. You know, some women like to have their testosterone level at 300, but then they might grow chin hair.
Yeah, no chin hair.
So-
So, you guys, we're gonna have to go to break. But let's talk chin hair when we get back.
Or, you know, chest hair.
Florida Man Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And we're back for our last segment of the show, and I am loving the 2 hours, but like Heather said last week, now I want 3 because I feel like we could just talk so much more about both topics. But last but not least, huge thank you to our sponsor, Bolts Legal, who's going to be on the show this month. Very excited about that. And Rachel Roach Realty, a Coldwell Banker Realtor. With the sea of realtors out there, choose the one that thinks about you first and not their commission. 407-252-4566. All right, so we're back with Karen. And I know we said chin hair. She said chest hair.
Well, we did leave on that note, right?
Yes.
So just testosterone is what it is. It can, if you, like, going back to the pellet situation, if you over pellet someone and their testosterone levels shoot way up there, then you do have a potential for raising their levels to the point. I'm still not. Oh man. Okay. Gotta get closer.
Gotta make love to that microphone, girl.
So yeah, but then you know you get your testosterone levels up there, you feel good, and then women, you know, sometimes like, oh
Do
gosh.
female bodybuilders like OD on testosterone? Is that why they have such a masculine?
So we won't
look
call
to
it
them?
OD. They do use it though, so everybody can use it.
They could abuse it.
They can abuse it, absolutely. And then you know most of the effects of testosterone are not reversible. So say for example, you've done it to the point. That's how you transition from one gender to the other. Is we use hormones to do that. So they are powerful and very potent. But every woman is different. you know. So yes, there are some women that like that look. But
Well,
they
just- I
probably
see that,
do
and
have
like
to
their
laser their
jawbone and everything.
It masculinizes the
the
jawbone.
shape of their face. So that's non-reversible, huh?
It's not reversible. I mean, you would have to reverse it would be almost like doing estrogen therapy in such high levels that I would almost consider it to be dangerous. You know, and that's just me. Like there's
Right.
probably people out there that's their specialty. But my goal is not to transition you. It's to make you feel better, right? That you have to go to another specialist if you want that type of hormone treatment. So
Right.
that's not what we do. But we do not want you to grow a beard or chest hair. So we do monitor blood
I'd
work.
really
And there
rather
are
not.
clinics out there that don't probably know a ton about what they're doing. There are those out there. So you have to be really careful, but you have to look at even the precursors to hormones. Like I said, if you don't have enough of one, then your body's going to struggle to make the other. And a lot of them comes from your adrenals. So we have to look at what's your adrenal function, what's your thyroid function, you know, that it all works together. And sometimes it's just the hormones are like the cherry on the cake. I'm like, listen, we've got batter. We need to get all the ingredients. We need to mix them together. We need to make this cake. Then we need to ice it. Then we'll put the cherry on top. So if you don't do it at the right time, you can really create some aversion to, I don't want that stuff. That stuff made me feel terrible. You know,
Right.
we didn't have the system prepared.
Well, to be very fair too, because so when I met with Karen, she went through my blood work with me, and she told me what needs to happen in order, and she explained it to me. And so I started with like 3 different like I don't know, biozyme. Tell me.
So Pure Biotic, which is a probiotic,
right?
Digestive enzymes,
Yes,
and probably magnesium.
Yes, those were some of them. There was a few other too to get my gut in shape. But she said to me, she goes, "It's going to get worse before it gets better." Because one of my problems is just, I know I'm trying to be gross, but a noisy stomach. I felt constantly like my stomach was in turmoil, and I'm not talking about nauseous. I'm just talking about I call it bubble gut,
Right.
where you feel like,
And it can be painless, but any kind of symptom like what you're talking about is definitely an issue with the gut.
My feet hurt. I was bloated all the time. I had bubble gut, and I was gaining weight. I gained up to 12. I was 12 pounds heavier than I was a year and a half ago. So those were my main indicators that something ain't right.
Right, something is out of whack.
So she talked about how to deal with it. But again, like you said, you said that what we have to do first is get your stomach in order, your gut in order, right?
And then that's how we can kind of build other things. So then we
I know,
can.
girl, you just sit up.
I know, right? I just need to sit up and talk into my.
So how do you do that? So if somebody comes in and you want to first check their gut health. So for hormones, I know that there's blood work. You can do a hormone panel and kind of check everything that way. How do you do?
I used to do these big fancy gut panels, and there's all kinds of stuff, and I will order those tests if the patient really, really wants to. But I find that it's not going to change my treatment plan.
Okay.
It's a big bill to you if you want that, and I'm happy to order those for you. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to get the same gut protocol. That's it. You're going to get off gluten, dairy, sugar, even fruit, because fruit has fructose. It's sugar, and then some of them is a little bit higher than others. So they're all going to get this diet plan. They're all going to get the same probiotics and the same digestive enzymes, and they're going to get that anywhere, depending on what their problem is, 4 to 12 weeks.
Right.
And most of the time, they feel so good with just that they don't want to go back to gluten. They don't want to go back to dairy. They don't want to do anything that kind of set that whole situation
because it's such a big difference. You can feel it.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Like even people will come in and I'm like, wow, you look totally different. You see it in their skin when the inflammation is reduced. So there are some inflammatory markers that we look at in blood work, like kind of going back to that. Estrone, what Terry and I were just talking about, is a very inflammatory type of estrogen. We don't want that. So a lot of these kind of manufacture and or are the gut's responsible for kind of managing these, along with some other things too, obviously. But estrone is a type of estrogen from adipose tissue, and adipose tissue is a fancy word for fat. So the fluffier you are, the more potential you have estrone, and we have to tackle from the gut and all the way down. Even sometimes before we start estrogen replacement, we need to get those values.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like how you're talking about with everything's like gears. So just working with the diet and that it's affecting your hormones. So it's all kind of linked together. Yeah.
That's where you get the most pushback, isn't it? People don't want to change their habits.
Don't, but if you explain it in such a way that like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So the thyroid function is really dependent on like iodine, but all of our processed food has bromine, which displaces iodine. So now your thyroid's not going to function. If your thyroid's not working, well, your hormones certainly aren't. So now you're looking at chronic diseases simply because you chose to eat processed food. That's another one. I'd get everybody off that. Eat as organic as possible, which it's kind of hard to find nowadays with the soil, and it's just low quality. So even organic is not as good as it once was. So that's where the supplements come in quite a bit. But ideally, you don't want to be on supplements forever. You want to eat the food that's good for you. And when you do that, your body rewards you. So it's very simple. I tell everybody we're like little flowers. Right. Everybody is. We need the right nutrients. We need sunshine. I literally prescribe sunshine to people.
Oh, that's she's
I'm like, you need 20
holistic.
minutes of sunshine.
I love that.
The owner of our practice, Dr. Sangeeta Patty, would literally tell you to lay out naked in your backyard with your mouth open in the sunshine. Like that's very
with
much
your mouth open.
Believe it or not, you absorb sunshine through there, and people think I'm getting vitamin D. Well, you are, but you're not going to get nearly enough from the sun. But you need to activate it. So you got to consume vitamin D.
Right.
And then you go out in the sunshine.
D3, that's different than just D.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of bit different. But that's a whole like
Another topic.
Another topic.
Heather's going to jump over that thing and get you if you don't talk in that microphone, girl.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll confuse people, and then I'd rather just everybody should be on vitamin D. Everybody's low in it, and vitamin D functions like a hormone. Believe it or not, it kind of acts like testosterone. I'll take teenagers and I'll do their panel, and a lot of times it's a vitamin D deficiency. We boost them up to where they should be, to where their thyroid can function normal. Now they're back to normal again, and they thought that they were. I had a dancer in New York, 19, on the floor. She had to leave New York and come home because she was depressed and miserable. And I did her panel, and I was like, girlfriend, you don't have some chronic problem. You need vitamin D.
Oh, my gosh.
We boosted her up, and she went back to
normal.
Back to normal.
I bet you, too, lots of times when people actually get all that in order, it gets them off of anxiety meds.
Oh, that's our goal. Like, I want to get you off. And we have different modalities that we use, like brain mapping and neurofeedback. We have IV therapies, hormone. It's not just, we usually become a one-stop shop.
Right.
People just want to come to see us at Sejun because they want that natural
holistic
approach. And people that thought they had no hope because maybe they've been to their doctor and their doctor's like, well, that's just part of aging. Well, yes, there are parts of aging, but we can make that a lot more comfortable for you, and we can prevent the chronic diseases that come along with low hormones. As a result,
and not have the side effects of the the pharmaceutical stuff. So you mentioned, I know we talked a lot about hormones and stuff, but I was on your site yesterday and I saw about the IV therapies, and I've never done that, but I've heard very good things about those. Usually from people who have hangovers.
There's a hangover bag. We have 2 minutes left, so
okay. Yeah, so it's a way to get the nutrients or the vitamins directly into the system, like immediately. Now, you're going to use that pretty quickly. So as quickly as it goes in, you're going to pee it out. But most people don't drink enough water anyway. So they're dehydrated. They need that extra boost. So a lot of times, like people who are recovering from COVID, so we do a lot of long haul. I'm sure everybody's heard about that. Those are people that are ideal for, high dose vitamin C drips, or some people just want to, we've got some with glutathione. It makes your skin glow,
Ooh, I want that. It's so funny. It's like, I want all of the stuff that Terri was talking about. And
there's immune
that
boosting.
That Karen's talking
with
about.
Your powers
energy.
combined.
I love the IV vitamins. So
I can't believe it, but we have 1 minute left. So what we're going to do real quick is give everybody your contact information. And just so you guys know that you can always reach out to me, and I have all of our guests' information. So go ahead, Karen, give everybody your contact info.
Okay,
Terri, then
we're at Sejun Medical, 954 Lake Baldwin Lane, and we're in Orlando. Our phone number is 407-478-9797, and you can go to sejun.com for almost any of our protocols that are available to everyone.
Awesome. Terri?
Yes, the best way to reach me is by texting me. I'm usually on the go or on conference calls. So 407-616-3145. 407-616-3145.
All right. Do we have time? I bet we're wrapping up now.
Go
So,
for it.
all right, you guys, tune in next week and you can get us on BaaDradio.com.
Florida Man Radio.